don't do this. This is why Canelo's not fighting Benavidez. Why would Canelo fight Benavidez, who's relatively unknown, and Benavidez beats him and Benavidez becomes overnight a superstar? That's Canelo's letting Benavidez make a name off of him.
So you're saying that you're gonna make?
If it was up to me, like we keep on saying, we want to see Benavidez. Canelo, hell of a fighter, but my personal opinion, he's ducking Benavidez. You know, that's just my personal opinion, and I'm allowed to speak my mind. That's just what it is. We want to see Benavidez.
David Benavidez isn't holding back in the aftermath of Canelo Alvarez's loss to Terence Crawford. The undefeated super middleweight champion has turned up the pressure, claiming that Canelo is avoiding a showdown with him.
Can you not give us Canelo Benavidez? Why? Canelo, why? I do not understand it. You're demanding $200 million? Like, come on, dude. Basically, Canelo doesn't want to give us the good fights. Imagine if Canelo and Benavidez gets made. That's the Super Bowl of boxing. Boxing is on the rise. Canelo, don't screw it up for us. I thought I would never say this, but Canelo's scared. Literally, I thought I would, as a fighter, I know fighters are not scared. But wow, we've been begging Canelo. Please, Canelo.
Oh, Canelo. Alvarez chose not to pursue a matchup with David Benavidez, reportedly feeling uncomfortable with Benavidez's approach and believing the fight was driven more by financial motives than competitive legacy. Longtime boxing trainer Ronnie Shields had publicly predicted that Terence Crawford would defeat Canelo ahead of the clash, and he stood firmly by that opinion. Reflecting on the bout afterward, Shields explained that he always believed Crawford's speed, versatility, and seamless ability to switch between orthodox and southpaw stances would pose serious problems for Canelo. According to Shields, Crawford's skill in changing angles, controlling distance, and knowing when to press forward or pull back exposed small defensive gaps in Canelo's game and created openings for Crawford to take control.
By unanimous decision, you got that. You know, I just thought Crawford was too fast for Canelo. Too many combinations. Canelo doesn't jab anymore. He looks for one shot now. You know, I mean, the end is there for Canelo. And I just think that Crawford was too fast for him. You know, especially in the southpaw position. We all know Canelo have problems with the southpaw. So, you know, and that's why I picked Crawford. I just thought Crawford...
Veteran trainer Ronnie Shields praised Terence Crawford for delivering what he described as an almost perfect performance. Shields highlighted Crawford's calmness under pressure, precise timing, disciplined strategy, and his ability to capitalize on every mistake Canelo made. According to Shields, the bout was a masterclass in ring IQ and tactical planning, exactly what he expected going into the fight. He even went as far as suggesting that Canelo might want to think seriously about stepping away from boxing, noting that years of elite-level competition appeared to have worn on him. Oscar de la Hoya, however, offered a more measured perspective. He emphasized that the choice to retire ultimately belongs to Canelo alone. If Canelo feels he has nothing left to prove, then walking away would make sense. But de la Hoya stressed the importance of being selected with future opponents. He also expressed deep admiration for Crawford, calling him a rare talent with an exceptional ability to read opponents, adapt to different styles, and counter effectively. De la Hoya admitted the experience was eye-opening and served as a powerful reminder why Crawford is widely regarded as one of boxing's most versatile and intelligent fighters.
Crawford is older than Canelo, so we can't use the excuse that he's older, right? We can't use the excuse that, oh, well, you know, he moved around too much. Well, it's your job to figure him out, right? Just like Chavez would figure out a fighter, just like I would figure out a fighter, just like any real great fighter can figure styles out. That's your job. I think Crawford did a tremendous job. Kudos to him. Sky's the limit for Crawford, and I really don't know where Canelo...
Oscar de la Hoya, the former world champion and prominent boxing promoter, continued to share his thoughts on Canelo's next steps following the landmark victory, while also breaking down Terence Crawford's future. De la Hoya pointed out that Crawford's self-belief is evident in everything he does, and he sees that confidence as a driving force that will push Crawford toward even bigger challenges. According to La Hoya, Crawford looks completely comfortable competing at super middleweight, and there is little incentive for him to move back down to 154 pounds. However, he acknowledged that a return to 160 pounds could make sense if the right high-profile opportunity presents itself. De La Hoya also identified what he considers the most compelling matchup available at the moment, a showdown with the rising Virgil Ortiz. In his view, that fight would deliver non-stop action, strong fan appeal, and a level of excitement that matches Crawford's standing as one of boxing's elite fighters.
Crawford at 160. Imagine that. Would be incredible. So there's a good possibility that Crawford will stay at 168. Most likely go down to 160. I don't think he's gonna touch 154. I think he'll stay at 160 eventually and try to find the biggest fights possible. And the biggest fight for him would be a...
Terrence Bud, Crawford showing in the September 13th headliner against Canelo, Alvarez earned strong praise from Rolly Romero. Romero pointed out that beating Canelo takes something special, and he believes Crawford proved he has that rare quality. He noted that the early rounds were highly competitive, with Canelo pressing forward and keeping the action tight. As the fight unfolded, however, Romero felt Crawford steadily took command, setting the pace, landing cleaner punches, and clearly securing round after round. Romero emphasized that Crawford's ability to make real-time adjustments against a top-tier opponent highlights why many now place him among the greatest fighters in boxing history. He described the victory as an extraordinary accomplishment, one that almost feels unreal given the level of difficulty.
That performance did something really special for me.
Yeah?
Yeah, a lot more special than what probably anyone else is probably thinking, honestly. I didn't expect Crawford to be that big.
Oh, yeah?
I didn't expect Crawford to be that big, but Canelo did good the first few rounds, you know, the first like all the way up like to round 4, and then that's when Crawford took over, you know. So I mean, the second half of the fight though, it was all Crawford. There was no question.
Following his victory over Saul Canelo Alvarez, Terrence Crawford has been cautious about a potential matchup with David Benavidez, a stance that mirrors Canelo's own reservations. Crawford captured the spotlight by defeating the Mexican star and taking his titles, a feat that reshaped the division and sparked new debates about his next move. In the aftermath, Benavidez reportedly put forward his demands to Canelo in hopes of securing what many are calling a potential Mexico's ultimate boxing showdown, even as some former champions publicly suggested that Canelo consider retirement. Crawford has acknowledged Benavidez's physical advantages, noting that Benavidez is significantly larger and naturally heavier. While Crawford has not ruled out the fight entirely, he has emphasized that size played a major role in why he felt comfortable facing Canelo, whereas Benavidez presents a very different challenge. Boxing journalist Dan Rafael echoed similar sentiments expressed by Rolly Romero when analyzing Canelo-Crawford bout. Rafael pointed out that the early rounds featured intense back-and-forth action, with both fighters exchanging hard shots. As the fight progressed, however, Crawford's preparation became increasingly evident. According to Rafael, Crawford executed his game plan flawlessly, using patience, discipline, and strategic adjustments to outclass a larger and more experienced opponent. Rafael also reminded fans that many doubted Crawford before the fight, citing Canelo's size, power, and championship experience as obstacles that seemed insurmountable. Yet Crawford turned those perceived disadvantages into strengths through focus, conditioning, and unwavering commitment to training. In doing so, he not only secured a landmark victory, but further established himself as one of the most complete, disciplined, and determined champions in modern boxing.
It's close. I had Canelo ahead in the early going, but I thought Crawford did an amazing job closing that fight down in the last few rounds, where he really started to back the supposed bigger guy up, although for me, they looked about the same size. But that was a brilliant performance, and what can you say? I mean, you got to give him his credit. He created a lot of history. He dreamt this fight. He willed it to happen. A lot of people, not me, but a lot of people laughed at him, said, forget about it, no chance against a bigger guy like that.
Dan Rafael went on to explain that although a Canelo-Crawford rematch would undoubtedly attract massive attention, it may not be the smartest or most beneficial move for either fighter at this stage of their careers. He suggested that both men should consider other high-profile opportunities that better align with their current positions in the sport. Rafael emphasized that Canelo, in particular, needs to carefully weigh the risks and rewards before deciding whether to fight again. And if so, who that opponent should be as for Crawford. Rafael noted that the landmark win has dramatically elevated his standing in boxing, making him an immediate target for every elite contender across multiple divisions. Still, Rafael stressed that Crawford must be selective, carefully analyzing each potential matchup based on factors such as weight class, the scale of the event, and which championships could be on the line.
And then, the Hamza Shiraz, I mean, those types of names. He's got mandatories. Mabili got the draw tonight in a great fight. There's other fighters that have belts and interim belts and blah, blah, blah. So, nobody's going to rush Terrence Crawford into his next fight. He'll take his time, and you know, whatever the next fight is, it's going to be a big one because, you know, his name is even greater now than what happened going into this fight for him. So he beats Canelo Alvarez, you know, it becomes a...
After previously standing firm in his belief that Canelo Alvarez would win the September 13th bout, Schofield admitted he was stunned by the level of dominance displayed by Terence Crawford. He said he expected a signature Canelo performance, one that would be remembered as a classic, but instead watched the Mexican star struggle throughout the fight. For the first time, Schofield acknowledged uncertainty about Canelo's future and whether retirement might be approaching in his breakdown of the matchup. Schofield noted that Crawford outperformed Canelo in virtually every area, including tempo, timing, and overall command of the ring. Crawford built a clear and commanding lead, leaving no doubt about the outcome. Despite the decisive loss, Schofield said he hopes Canelo continues his career, takes time to reset, and eventually returns in a way that allows fans to once again see the champion who once ruled the sport.
I was hurt, I ain't gonna lie, because I've been a fan of Canelo since I was a kid, so my heart, a tear almost came on my I ain't gonna lie, because it felt like, you know, that Canelo's done. But I just think he was a little off that night. I think he can, you know, make a big comeback. But to Crawford, man, he's the greatest of this era. You gotta give it to him, greatest of this era. Nobody's ever done that before, 3-time undisputed. So you gotta take your hats off to Crawford. And I was just shocked that he was able to just dismantle Canelo like that, you know, even with the size difference. That just goes to show.
Canelo Alvarez resumed stands as a modern template for boxing greatness. His career has been built on facing elite opposition on the biggest stages, achieving global pay-per-view success, and capturing world titles across 4 weight divisions. Known for his ability to adjust to virtually any style, Canelo has paired technical versatility with a punishing counterpunching arsenal. From his early rise as a teenage standout in Mexico to landmark wins over established champions like Miguel Cotto and Sergey Kovalev, he evolved into an international superstar and one of boxing's most recognizable figures. That elite pedigree was evident even early in his career. In 2012, Shane Mosley shared the ring with young Canelo and later reflected on how unusually composed and seasoned he seemed for his age. Mosley pointed to Canelo's natural power, sharp timing, and remarkable patience, noting that it already felt like facing a fighter with veteran instincts. Even then, Mosley could see the traits of a future pound-for-pound contender. Canelo's journey from prodigy to one of boxing's most accomplished champions has been defined by that same calm, measured presence, something he displayed long before reaching the peak of the sport.
I think he was 21, 22 years old. He had a lot of experience, I should say. He had a lot of boxing experience at his age.
40, 50 fights?
Huh?
He had 40 or 50 fights at that point, right?
40, 50 fights, but not just that. I'm talking about experience as far as knowledge about being the real, like, experience. You know,
Okay.
like veteran experience. Like he knew how to counter, he knew how to block and counter, do different things. So it wasn't like he was just an ordinary fighter. And I was like, and fighting him, I'm like, wow. He actually knows how to, like, you know, get away from stuff. He knows how to counter. He knows how to, like, you know, trick shots up.
Canelo Alvarez's toughness and championship resolve were perhaps most evident in his fiercely competitive battles with Gennady Golovkin, fights that remain among the defining moments of his career. He later cemented his legacy by becoming the first undisputed super middleweight champion, unifying all 4 major belts with his victory over Caleb Plant. Beyond collecting titles, Canelo has consistently sought out dangerous opponents across multiple weight classes, never backing away from high-risk, high-stakes matchups. His career represents a rare blend of longevity, excellence, and resilience, combining the proud fighting spirit associated with Mexican boxing and elite-level technical skill. These accomplishments have firmly established him as one of the standout fighters of his generation. The respect he commands was further underscored when Terence Crawford returned the championship belts to him after their bout, a gesture that reflected Canelo's standing within the sport. David Benavidez, meanwhile, has built a reputation as one of the most imposing forces in the super middleweight division. His 2019 victory over Anthony Dirrell marked a major turning point in his career. By stopping the seasoned champion in the 9th round to reclaim the WBC title, Benavidez showcased both composure and confidence, speaking afterward like a fighter fully aware of his place among the elite. Regaining the belt at just 22 years old, he described a moment as the realization of a lifelong dream and spoke passionately about what the championship meant to him. Benavidez acknowledged Dirrell's relentless pressure and sharp combinations, noting that the intensity of the fight increased with each round. He viewed the win as proof of his growth, discipline, and maturity, evidence that his youth, power, and focus made him a fighter to beat at 168 pounds.
Words can't explain how good I feel. I said I was gonna get in here. I was gonna win the belt again. Like I said, it was a hard fight. You know, my Darrell was trying to catch me all night. He was trying to counter me when I would step in. But you know, we were willing to take the chances, and he didn't catch me at all. It was a hard fight, but you know, my dreams come true. You know, second time fighting on pay-per-view, all my people out there came out to support. So man, it's an amazing feeling. I just can't wait to get back in there again. And
Following the electrifying showdown between Canelo Alvarez and Terrence, but Crawford, boxing fans and analysts are eagerly debating what comes next. Some are calling for a rematch, while others argue that both fighters should explore fresh challenges in the division. David Benavidez has publicly voiced criticism of Canelo, highlighting the ongoing fascination with the dynamic of youth versus experience, a theme that captivates fans worldwide. Meanwhile, many voices suggest that Canelo consider retirement, preserving the legacy of an extraordinary career. Crawford's triumph, on the other hand, opens the door to numerous exciting opportunities. Should he focus on rising stars like Virgil Ortiz, pursue titles in the middleweight or super middleweight divisions, or take on another high-profile pound-for-pound challenge? What do you think? Should Canelo step away or take on Benavidez? And who should Bud face in his next big fight? Share your thoughts in the comment below.